In this presentation, we will start our journey of conducting a research by identifying what we want to study and why we need to know them. To do so, let's review the concepts of research topics, problems, purposes, and questions. Developing your research idea will be starting with clarifying your research topic, which is the broad subject matter area to be investigated. How do we find a research topic? Researchers utilize different sources to find a research topic. Research topic can be found from theories that can be validated or expanded. Let me share my experience with how I found my dissertation topic. From an institutional theory perspective, researchers have argued that universities will comply with what rankings measure. If this assumption, based on the theory, is not tested in this particular context, ranking in university expenditure, a researcher like myself can investigate this topic. Or he or she can expand the theoretical explanation and see if some dimensions of rankings, such as changes in the ranking position, differentiate expenditure behaviors of colleges and universities in relation to rankings. Another way to find a research topic is to learn from existing literatures and see what they described as the next step. For example, you may review a body of literature that explains the effect of attending an elite university on job attainment. You find that most existing research suggests that elite university helps getting a more prestigious occupation, but what practices of elite universities make their students better off remains as black box. Then this unknown area can be your research topic. You can also do a replication study while you expand or alter the direction of the initial research. An example can be a research on the impact of study abroad on employment outcomes. The original research was conducted in European setting, and you may replicate the same study design to the US context. In relation to this course in particular, one way to find research topic is to reflect on your personal experiences and observations and to see if there is anything that you want to change or improve in your surrounding environment. For example, if you work for a career center and have been thinking about how you can encourage students to visit the center and use the services more often, this could be your research topic. One example that I found interesting from the localized context that we are situated is the differential tuition policy at ASU. Because this policy allowed different programs charge higher tuition than baseline tuition, I wonder if this would affect low-income students in terms of their choice of major, as well as retention and graduation outcomes due to the extra financial burden. Once we identify the research topic, next step is to even more specify what problem we want to investigate and improve on within the broad topic area we selected. Research problem is a statement about an area of concern, a condition to be improved upon, a difficulty to be eliminated, or a troubling question from your topic area. Also, you will need to explain why the problem is meaningful and worthy to investigate. Some research problems can be studied quantitatively or qualitatively. If your problem is more about explaining, predicting, or statistically describing an event or outcome, your research will be guided by a quantitative approach. On the other hand, if your problem emphasizes the need to understand a group, process, event, and phenomenon, your research study will be guided by a qualitative approach. In your writing, you want to place your problem into a particular context. Use clear, non-technical language and avoid jargon. Do not assume that all of your audience knows the context that you are talking about. Your problem statement is the first place where you explain what is going to be studied and why the problem is worth it to study. So try to stimulate your readers' interests. Do not try to solve all problems from your topic with this one single study. Limit your problem to a manageable scope, considering the resources and time you have. Going back to the example, the research topic I identified was the differential tuition policy at ASU. Now, I drafted a research problem statement following guidelines that we just reviewed in the previous slide. First, I'm providing the context of the research problem. Basically, in 2007, the Arizona Board of Regents approved universities under its purview to charge differential tuition, which is the higher or lower tuition than the baseline tuition for particular undergraduate academic programs or colleges. And at ASU in particular, engineering, business, mass media, and life and natural sciences are charging up to additional $400 per semester for all students who are in these colleges or declared those majors. Then I provide the concern that I want to address in this research, that the introduction of differential tuition might create a barrier for low-income students accessing to and persist through those majors. And this problem is significant because those programs are considered to create better occupational opportunities for students in the future. Also, the need for this study is the lack of empirical evidence on the impact of differential tuition. I conclude with the point that understanding this issue provides important practical implications to the tuition policy of the university and the board. Once we state the research problem, we have to clarify what we intend to accomplish from this study, which is the research purpose. Basically, in your purpose statement, you explain what you will investigate in relation to your research problem, but not about how you will do it. In your research problem, you already identified if your study problem is quantitative or qualitative. So accordingly, you will address what your research will focus on. If your research problem is quantitative, your research purpose will be addressing what variables are involved in your research, what relationships between the variables will be addressed in your research. That's it. On the other hand, if your research problem is qualitative, you can hint what is the central phenomenon your research address. If you remember, the example study stated research problem as the effect of differential tuition on students. So this is a quantitative problem, and we can state the purpose of the study as the purpose of this study is to investigate the impact of differential tuition policy and amount on students' choice of major, as well as retention and graduation in lucrative majors such as engineering and business. So the purpose statement indicates that I will look at the problem from a quantitative perspective because I focus on the relationship between variables that are differential tuition policy, amount, as well as students' choice of major, and retention and graduation. Now, what if we want to study the topic from a qualitative perspective? Then the purpose of the research will be to explore perceptions of ASU students with differential tuition in pursuing those majors and to ascertain the meanings of tuition in choosing and persist through the respective fields of study. As we consume others' research or prepare our own research, we need to think about what makes a good research purpose statement. When we read others' research, you will criticize if the person's purpose statement is persuasive in terms of the significance of the topic and the presentation is clear and objective. When you write your own purpose statement, consider the following 4 factors. If the purpose is researchable, meaning that you can empirically examine the problem with data collection and analysis. Also, ask if your research has significance for theory and practice, as well as your personal and professional interests. Finally, keep the scope of the research goal to the scale that you can complete in a given time with available resources. Done research project is better than, so much dreaming in the heaven, right? Okay, the final step is to provide your research question that guides your investigation. Depending on your research problem, your research question will be either quantitative or qualitative. Quantitative research question focuses on the extent to which a single variable is present or relationships between variables. Let's say your research problem was college students binge drinking and its negative consequences on academic achievement. Then your research purpose is to first understand drinking behavior of college students. This can be accomplished by asking, how frequently do college students drink per week? The second purpose is to test the relationship between drinking and academic achievement. So then your second research question can be, what is the relationship between the number of days per week a student drink and his or her GPA? Meanwhile, qualitative research question asks about process, issue, or phenomenon in a more general and open manner. For example, we can study the same topic, college students' drinking behavior, but focus on different problem, which is their perception and attitude about binge drinking on campus. Then the question will be qualitative, such as, how do college students perceive about binge drinking on campus? As I hinted in the previous slide, your research topic, problem, purpose, and question should be coherent, speaking the same one story. Going back to the example case, our research topic was differential tuition at ASU, which is very broad and general, right? Then we narrowed it down to specific research problem, which is the concern that differential tuition might limit students' access to and persistence in graduation from those majors with higher tuition. The purpose of the study was to evaluate the impact of differential tuition on students' choice of major as well as retention and graduation, which is quantitative in its nature. Then my study will be guided by the research question, which is, what is the impact of differential tuition on ASU students' choice of major as well as retention and graduation? If we assume that the purpose of the study was to understand how ASU undergraduate students perceive differential tuition in pursuing those majors, a set of research questions can be set such as, how do students perceive differential tuition? What is the role of differential tuition during the process that students make choices about academic major? How do students describe their experience with differential tuition and academic progress toward a degree? So this is more of a qualitative approach rather than a quantitative approach. So you can see the different aspects of writing research purpose and questions. So I just provided you with an overview of how to identify your research topic, problem, purpose, and question. In our face-to-face session, we'll practice how to come up with this first part of our research proposal with various cases. Then we will workshop your own research topic, problem, purpose, and question. This very first part of the research process is the key of your research. And often coming up with a good research topic, problem, purpose, and question is a challenge. I personally still spend a lot of time on this part when I have to write a research proposal. But I can tell you that you need to practice sharpening your idea and writing your idea, sharing it with your peers and professor, getting feedbacks from them, and revising the statement will be really helpful for making your work better. So hope you will utilize your class time and assignment to crystallize your research idea. That's all for this week, and I will see you in the class.